Many of us are waking up to the fact that the values of those in Washington, D.C. are not our values.
It is under siege by a Democrat president who refuses to do his constitutional duty to secure the border of the United States.
Then I think we take NASA, we take the military, we take the oil.
Here in Texas, we esteem those principles of Thomas Jefferson, that all political power is inherent in the people. Texans are sick and tired of being governed by 180,000 pages of federal laws, rules, and regulations.
And I've dedicated the last 15 years of my life to make sure that we don't have to do this anymore.
It is for all of these reasons and more that tonight I am officially announcing that I will be running as a Republican candidate to become the next Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Texas.
Lower your property taxes. And we're going to get that done.
A report by the House Ways and Means Committee predicted many homeowners would see taxes increase regardless.
But this session, we are going to take a major step in reducing your property taxes because people need to be able to afford to live in their homes and operate their businesses without being taxed out of them. We will pass major property tax relief.
I studied the property tax plans for about 50 governments, cities, counties, and school districts, and I could hardly find any that aren't raising taxes.
As your Lieutenant Governor, I will pass legislation to cut property taxes again next session. This is a great day for homeowners and business owners who are sick and tired of seeing their property taxes go up 7, 8, 9, 10% or more every year. Those days are over.
Here's your stimulus check for $1,200, and here's your bill for $4,000 for your property tax.
This is fun.
Come join the campaign. Let's take Texas back. Thank you.
I want to ask you if you're familiar with Article 1, Section 2 of the Texas Constitution.
I don't memorize everything, so read.
That's fine. I'm not asking you if you believe in independence right now or should we leave. What I'm asking you is whose decision is it? Is it we the people or is it the legislature?
You've asked me a question I've not been asked. You've asked me a question I've not researched. And so I will follow back. And
you have to research it?
Yeah,
I just read the Texas Constitution.
Ma'am, I understand. But there will be a legal opinion on that, and I don't know what that legal opinion is, and I would want to go to the Attorney General and find out what that really says and really means and what the intent is. Reading me something for the first time that I have not looked at, and you're asking me a question, and I'm happy to give you an answer and follow up and give you the answer.
People in power, whether red or blue, they could not care less about Texas, me and you. They created this give me country that don't value hard work. For a Texan to survive, all we need are some seeds and dirt. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country before it's all gone. Texan rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country before it's long gone. We believe family and we value our community. Gladly lend a helping hand to a neighbor in need. And we don't believe that government should provide for all of society's needs. No, it's the pride of a Texan to give to others voluntarily. Texan arise, don't you hear your call? Gotta save your country, for it's long gone. Texan arise, don't you hear your call? Gotta save your country, for it's long gone. They like our tax dollars and they love our natural resources. They don't want to see us driving trucks, they'd rather see us riding horses. And now they want to ban our guns, you know, especially the ones that look scary. But may I remind you of the Gonzales Cannon and the Alamo heroes we buried. Texan arise, don't you hear your call? Got to save our country, for it's long gone. Texan arise, don't you hear your call? Got to save our country, for it's long gone. This last verse is straight from the Texas Constitution, Article 1, Section 1 and 2. Look it up. Texas is an independent state, yet presently we suffer. We no longer possess the right to locally self-govern. And now it's time as a people in which all political power is inherent. And in such manner we find expedient, we reform or abolish our government. I said, Texan arise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country, for it's long gone. Texan arise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country, for it's long gone.
Hey, good evening, and thank you for being here for my weekly decompress late night coffee talk. And I am Daniel Miller, if this is your first time here. And look, I know that there was some speculation that I might not be here, like that I might blow this off because we're so close to Christmas. And but let's be honest, it's holiday season. I need to decompress now more than ever, and this is my opportunity. Yeah, I mean, the work never stops, like never. You guys, some of you don't understand that. For me, the work never stops. I don't know the last time I had a vacation. I don't know when that happened. And it does not appear to be getting any better, because if you look at the events on the website, you will see that about the time the calendar ticks over to 2022, yours truly is going to be doing a lot of life on the road. And we'll talk about that in a bit. Before we get started, let me go ahead and just say how much I appreciate you joining me tonight. I know you guys are all getting ready for Christmas. And by the way, Merry Christmas. You know, getting ready for whatever you do around Christmas time, around the holidays. And I just want to thank you for carving your evening out to share a cup of coffee with me and talk about various and sundry things, the things that are important. You got your things you want to talk about. I got my things I want to talk about. We meet here every Wednesday night and we talk about those things. So, being that it is close to the holidays, we're going to keep it a bit light tonight. All right. I'm going to focus really heavily on your questions and I will answer them. But, look, I almost thought about making a rule of, like non-businessy political questions, but it's too much. Let's talk about what you want to talk about. So, with that, if you are watching us on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And of course, if you are watching on the TNM's YouTube channel, Super Chat is active. So feel free, go over there, drop a Super Chat. Money that goes in the Super Chat on the YouTube's channel goes straight to the TNM. So, go do that. You want to give to the TNM and help the TNM's efforts for TEXIT, drop some coin in via Super Chat. And of course, I don't have that available on my YouTube channel. So, what do you do, right? But feel free to chat. Remember, all that chat aggregates over here, and Kara is that direction right now, monitoring chat, and drop your questions in the chat. And of course, if you're watching on Facebook, be sure to like the post and share the post and comment. And of course, all those comments go into the same chat. And that's whether you're watching on one of the many Facebook pages we're broadcasting on or in some of the groups. Of course, some of the groups you cannot share out of because they're not public groups, they're private groups. Because frankly, that's where this started. It started in a private TNM members Facebook group. And, here we are. Like legit, like a microphone. It's like when I used to run a DJ shift on Radio Free Texas. Which those of you who may have not, have known me that long or have not read the bio, Karen and I own a Texas music outlet called Radio Free Texas. And I was I was actually doing an interview. I did like a 2-hour interview with HTX. What is it? HTX Renegade Radio, I think it is. I'll look, but those folks were phenomenal. I did that interview, I guess, since the last time that we were on Coffee Talk. Had a phenomenal 2-hour conversation with them, and it is available, I think, on my Facebook page. But during that, one of the very last things we talked about was the fact that I used to run a regular DJ shift on Radio Free Texas, and they made me actually, well, they didn't make me. They asked me to do my DJ radio intro thing with my on-air name and the whole 9 yards. So it was fun. A bit of nostalgia. It's been a long time since I said, howdy, Texas music fans, right? So, bada boom, bada bing. Here we are, right? A couple of shout outs really quickly. Our good friend Jay up in the DFW area was so very, very kind. Got a package in the mail. And I had met with him the same day that I taped the appearance on the Chad Prather show. And over while we had, I guess it was lunch or dinner or whatever it was, whatever that meal was that came after, we got to talking about, and I can't even remember how we got on the subject of it, but the affinity and like that I have for vintage armored vehicles, tanks, right? You guys heard me talk about it. When I did that event at Museum of the American GI, see the Hellcat symbol, like the M18, World War II era tank destroyer. Well, lo and behold, knock on the door, package dropped off, and look what I got here. He got me a tank model. Look at this. How cool is this? That is awesome. But what's great is what he wrote on the back. He said, Daniel, be like a tank in everything you do. The unstoppable force that brings victory. And so, Jay, thank you so very much. I've got it right here, and it's a model. I'm going to have to put it together. So nobody wants to watch me put these things together. I was very bad at it when I was a kid. Very bad. And then, oh yeah. Hang on just a second. And last week was two different kinds of gift coffee. Well, today I got another one, right? Our good friend Ann, as we have known her, we knew her back in the day when we were doing the radio station. She's referred to as the Rose Lady. That's what we've always called her, but her name is Ann. And so she brought this coffee today that she got from Hall Farm and Garden. And it is some Costa Rican Jaguar Terrazzo honey. I can't even begin to pronounce the Terrazzo thing. But it is straight from Costa Rica, and they use the proceeds to protect the endangered jaguar. So phenomenal. So we got that one. We got the coffee that we got from Susan Williamson's daughter. Susan's one of our district directors, and of course Eric Riddle sent us the Black Rifle coffee. And so for all of that, I am super appreciative. Hang on just 1 second. We're communicating. Okay, yeah, she's sending me questions, so I just had to chime in on that. But anyway, it's been a phenomenal week, as you have probably noticed, regardless of what's going on. Oh, you know what? I'm looking at myself in the screen right now, and if you will notice that right there, that cross, Beverly sent that to me as a gift. It is a beautiful Texas themed cross, so I put it right there, right? And so, Beverly, thank you very much. You guys have been very, very kind to do that. So thank you so much. But as I was saying, you would think that things would be kind of slowing down, but it's not. It's been kicking in high gear. A lot of it has been campaign related. A lot of it has been next phase T&M work, because it never slows down. We've got conferences. We've already got an out of Texas conference booked for March of next year. We are deep in planning for a lot of the work that's going on with the field. And I got to tell you, while I have been really in the process of spinning up the campaign, our national leadership team has done a phenomenal job in just, I mean, it's gangbusters, right? I mean, it's just been absolutely nonstop. So we have, we had a long 1.5 hour Zoom meeting with members of the national leadership team today to go over some things. I know they spend so much time in meetings. And so I just want to take this opportunity to say how much I appreciate everyone in the T&M that is still working so hard. And man, I mean, we got new leadership coming on. As a matter of fact, if you have not gone over and looked at the local groups page here lately on the T&M site, and that address is, go to tnm.me/groups. You can find your local group, and if there is not one near you, you can always step up and help organize one. One of the district directors will be more than happy to get you plugged in there. So go check out the local groups. I mean, it's been phenomenal. I can honestly say that at no time prior to the T&Ms, prior to now, from the T&M's founding to now, have I seen this level of energy and enthusiasm. Our people are tired, right? Because fighting for independence is hard, and it takes work, and it takes dedication, and you got to overcome a lot of obstacles. But we got a team of champions right now, right? We got a team of champions who want to get the job done. And so I am just, I tell you, we are so blessed. We're so blessed. Okay. So, as I said, since the last one, I did that 2-hour-long interview. Interestingly enough, we talked about the T&M, talked about TEXIT, but the first hour of the interview was really discussing issues related to education here in Texas. So, as I said before, go over to the Facebook page, check it out. There is a ton of really good kind of info in there. I got to talk about some things, frankly, that I haven't talked about. Ow, excuse me, got to reposition here. Some things I haven't talked about related to education in a very long time, like the fight that we had pre-TNM back in the 90s with a good friend of mine back in my hometown, David Carr, where we had this big battle over outcome-based education in my little hometown. And that's a whole story for another time. Maybe we'll just save that one for the book. But got to talk about that a good bit, and it was fantastic. Second hour, got to talk a lot about the property tax issue and about the border issue, and talk about TEXIT. And, then sadly we ran out of time. I could have been on there for another 2 hours. I mean, there's always a lot to talk about. But of course, since then, we have begun to release endorsements. And we kicked off the week with a public endorsement from State Representative Kyle Biederman, who has endorsed our campaign for Lieutenant Governor. And then, of course, we've had several others. We've had Chris Breaux, who is a former member of the State Republican Executive Committee. We had Brent Smith, who is the county attorney down there in Kinney County, who has been all over the news for his work to deal with the spillover from the border crisis. Excuse me. So got that, and we got a lot more in the hopper, right? Not just these folks with positions, but we asked pretty early on. We've been kind of slow walking it a bit and been slowly accumulating, but we've been asking for endorsements, video endorsements from people just like you. All right. No matter what you do in life, no matter what your position is, if you believe in our campaign to take Texas back and believe that having me and the other TNM candidates there in the state legislature is of great import and helps us get there, then your endorsement is very welcome. Right. And so we have a page set up for that. We'll get the link posted. But make sure here's the most surefire way to get the link to the link for the video endorsements. So make sure you go to my website at, let's go here. Boom. I know I've got it here. Boom. There it is. Go to the website right there, danielomiller.com. Make sure you pledge your support, right? So this, just like you go to the TNM site, you go there, there's a little section up at the top, fill in your info, pledge your support. And then what we'll do as part of that onboarding process is we'll make sure that you get the link if you would like to submit an endorsement. And then, of course, always, if you want to do that separately, feel free to drop us an email and we'll tell you how to make that happen. If you don't want to go through the form, you just want to send the video, just drop us an email. We'll make it happen. All righty then. So that was great. Of course, kicked off today with an interview with KXDJ Radio out of Perryton up in the Panhandle. They cover a big swath of the Texas Panhandle, and very appreciative to Chris over there for having me on and interviewing. We've got clips from that. We will not be playing them tonight, but we will have them up on the website very, very soon. And of course, this week we debuted 2 new videos. As a matter of fact, you saw one of them related to the property tax right ahead of the start of this broadcast. And we debuted another one yesterday related to the border with our good friend, Dan Goldvach, who, he submitted testimony for House Bill 1359. But Dan is an angel father, right? He lost his son because of the federal government's failure on the Texas-Mexico border and the failure of the officials in Austin to have the backbone to stand in the gap and protect their citizens when the federal government would not. Right. So Dan tells his story, and I got to tell you, I really hate to have him relive that story. And so, rather than asking him for new video, I asked specifically, I used what he submitted with 1359. And so what I want to do is I want to actually tonight talk a little bit about those 2 videos, because it's been interesting that since we've released those, a lot of interesting things have happened. And I'm going to share those with you tonight. Okay. but starting, there was an article that was posted on Raging Elephants Radio last week that dealt with the fact that, according to the Quinnipiac poll numbers, the survey, that both Abbott and Patrick and pretty much Cornyn and a lot of these guys were underwater. Their favorability ratings were pretty low. And that article was subsequently picked up by Katie Christian Magazine and has been really amplified and shared all over the place. And while it focuses primarily at the top of the article on the impact of those numbers on the governor's race, immediately after it talks about our campaign, right? It talks about our campaign and our campaign alone to unseat Dan Patrick and install the Texans back into our capital, right? So that's fantastic. But, and I thought, well, that's interesting, right? I think it's interesting because there has been a recognition of our position that, frankly, it's a race between Dan Patrick and Daniel Miller, right? It's between Dan Patrick and Daniel Miller representing freedom-loving, independence-loving Texans. And I appreciated the recognition of that, right? I appreciated the fact that they acknowledged the work that we had done together over all these years to build this massive movement in Texas, which outside of the two major political parties, the largest political advocacy organization in Texas, right? It was a recognition of that, and a recognition of the fact that the issue of TEXIT is a legitimate, viable issue that needs to be discussed, right? That it's no longer the taboo subject that some of these people would want you to think it is. And I mean, there's one guy out there right now who is about as unhinged as you can possibly get, who's going around and ranting and raving that what we're talking about is going to cause civil war. And it's like, dude, we dealt with that. We dealt with that argument so long ago that we can't even see it in the rearview mirror, right? That's Ned and the First Reader stuff. You want to know the answer to that one? Go here. And if you're too cheap to buy a copy of the book, go to texitnow.org and read it for free, right? Or go listen to any of the speeches that I have pretty much made over the last 10 years. And you'll be able to deal with that because they're all like on YouTube. Unlike some people, I'm not a phantom. My bio, my record, everything I've done is very, very public. And if you haven't noticed, I'm pretty doggone transparent. So there you go. All you got to do is Google me, and I'm there. Salute. That being said, so that has happened, and then of course we released these two videos that I talked about: the property tax video and the border video, and things should not shock me, right? I think I should be beyond the point of being shocked, right? But literally both videos take readily publicly accessible video footage of the current lieutenant governor promising things when he ran for office each time. Primarily, 2014 was the start, but through the progression, all of these promises, these things he's done that are definitely not done, like, lower your property tax burden, secure the border, right? Stand up against the federal government. These aren't being done. I mean, it's not. And it's amazing how many people watch that video and say, wait a minute, the lieutenant governor can't do those things. So this is, you shouldn't be bringing it up. You shouldn't be holding his feet to the fire. Well, wait a minute. I hold his feet to the fire for a campaign promise that he did not fulfill. And your answer is, well, he couldn't fulfill it. So therefore, it's okay if he made it and then follow through with it. I mean, what sort of screwed up logic is that, right? If he couldn't do it, if he didn't have the ability to do it, then perhaps he should not have promised it. But here's what we all know. We all know that the lieutenant governor position is the most powerful position in our Constitution. It is the most powerful position in Texas government according to the Constitution. That is, if you have a lieutenant governor who doesn't fold like Superman on laundry day to either the federal government or the governor, right? Or the Speaker of the House of Representatives, who has a backbone and will stand up, right? Supposed to be the most powerful. You heard time and time again. There's clips that I have of this guy saying that the lieutenant governor position is the most powerful position in Texas, saying if the lieutenant governor wants something done, it gets done. And conversely, if he doesn't want something done, it doesn't get done. Now, he was saying this about David Dewhurst when he was running against Dewhurst in 2014, but here we are, right? So was he lying then? Is he lying now? Which one is it, right? So bottom line is these videos are not going to get any better. So if you're one of those people out there that is offended by the fact that I'm holding an elected official accountable for what they have said, you're kind of in the wrong place, right? You're kind of in the wrong place because it isn't the lack of accountability what got us in this trouble in the first place. The fact that we have had elected officials make promises, we elect them based on those promises. They break those promises, not because for a lack of trying, right? It's not like, look, I tried, but I hit this issue, just didn't even do it. Like literally when he, in his first campaign ad, when he talked about, well, I'm the only Texas senator to stand against, or that wanted to end in-state tuition for illegal immigrants, right? Well, okay, that was great. That was a stand. It obviously didn't work. So you got to be lieutenant governor, but you didn't do those things. You didn't push to make that happen. And it's always something like with property tax. Well, we don't have the votes. It's excuse after excuse. Get in there in the most powerful position in Texas government and get the job done, right? Or it's just pillow talk. And the Texans I know are sick and tired of the pillow talk, right? They're sick and tired of it. They're sick and tired of having politicians pour honey in their ears only to get these guys in office, watch them compromise any principles that they have, back off of their promises, right? Surrender to the other side, capitulate when things get hard, shift their loyalties from the people that elected them, put them in the office, to the people who are filling up their campaign coffers, right? People are sick and tired of it, and they should be. I know right now from the people that are watching this right here that one of the major issues was how our people were treated by the Texas legislature over House Bill 1359. The lack of respect for the will of the Texas voters, so much so that they deprived us all of our inalienable rights under Article 1, Section 2 of the Texas Constitution. And as you have seen in the video that I play ahead of this, we currently have a lieutenant governor who does not know what Article 1, Section 2 is. Now, maybe he's studied on it since then. Maybe he's committed it to memory. I'm not hopeful, because anyone who reads it and ingests that pure expression of the right of self-government could not behave in the manner that he has done. But that's just me. That's just what I think. If you feel the same way, then I'm going to ask you to go right there, DanielOMiller.com, right? Join the campaign today. We cannot, in the words of Benjamin Franklin, we cannot be expected to be transported from tyranny to liberty on a feather bed. It's going to take all of us to get this thing done. And I am absolutely, as we are working on these particular issues right now with property tax at the border, and we're going to start talking about vaccine mandates, the federal encroachment, his silence when the God King Greg unilaterally decided, or at least accepted the orders from the federal government to shut down our churches, our schools, our businesses, and determine who's essential and non-essential. And we have a guy in there in the lieutenant governor's office who was absolutely silent, did not say a thing, put on a mask like a good little boy, made sure that everybody got their nose swabbed before they could come to the Senate, to the point that the agriculture commissioner had to sue him on behalf of the people to get access to the Senate. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So anyway, join the campaign, DanielOMiller.com. And look, these videos, and I'm going to also say this too, because the property tax video and the border videos have garnered some comments from people who have not bothered to go click the links that are attached that actually detail what the issues are, right? I mean, people say, well, you can't make a video over 2 minutes long or people won't watch it. Well, I also can't make a 15-minute video detailing the, so if they won't watch it if it's more than 2 minutes, but to fully detail it, I got to go 15 minutes. Okay. What's the deal, right? So there's a link on these videos and go look. It's on my website on the issues page, and go look where I talk about we don't have to have a state income tax to abolish property tax. We don't have to unreasonably hike up the sales tax, right? There's an expansion of the tax base that doesn't mean that the price of your goods or services go up and overall lowers the tax burden, but still provides the revenue. That's all there, right? And the same thing with the border. They're like, well, how would you're going to criticize him for not securing the border. How would you do it? Well, guess what? What if someone had written that out? Right? It's literally right there on the website. Go to the issues link at DanielOMiller.com and you will find it where it says secure the border. And you're going to find out exactly what it is that I want to do, the legislation that I want to see passed, that I will champion in advance. And I will just promise you right now, right? No more of this. This legislation's being held up by Democrat committee chairs, or it's being held up by the House of Representatives. Until the priorities get done, nothing else gets done, right? I want to make this abundantly clear because I've talked about it I've talked about it in many speeches, and they're like, well, how can you overcome this logjam? It's called playing hardball, people. It's called playing hardball. It's saying, I don't care what other legislation you want to get done. Until the priorities are done, nothing moves. And if that means we're here for 20 special sessions, then that's exactly what's going to happen, right? Nothing gets done until the priorities get done. That means all the legislation from the House backs up like a toilet at the Superdome during Hurricane Katrina, right? It means it all gets backed up until the priorities get done. What about these bills about, making San Marcos the mermaid capital of Texas, or making Andy Murr's mustache the official mustache of the Texas House? Nothing gets done. Not naming highways, no pet bills, nothing gets done until the priorities are finished, period. Because you got to remember, there's only one piece of legislation that is constitutionally required by the legislature every legislative session, and that is the budget. And so until all the priorities get done, nothing else gets done. And you got to be willing to play hardball like that. The compromise and capitulation to the petulant frat boys that are running loose in the Texas legislature is one of the reasons that we are not getting things done. It's one of the reasons that Texans are still being kicked out of their homes because they can't pay the rent to the government. It's one of the reasons that the border is not secure. It's one of the reasons that we went just not quite a year ago, we went lights out when it got cold, right? It's yet again one of the reasons that the federal government is allowed to trample all over our rights is because they compromise, they capitulate, they give up, and enough is enough. You got to play hardball, and you negotiate. You make it happen, right? But nothing else gets done until the priorities get done, period. That felt a little soapboxy. So anyway, look, the issues are there. Go check it out. Okay, this is a question that came in because I got to start getting to some of these questions or I'm going to get really backed up. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to post this on the screen. And I do believe this is the correct link. Boom. Let's make sure. My apologies, folks. I am getting instructed to do some production things really quickly, and I just want to make sure that I'm doing the right things because we're being asked. Bear with me, folks. Boom. All right, there it is. Okay, I am taking care of it right now. My apologies, folks. Production stuff. Boom, there it is. Now I can answer the question the way that it's supposed to be. And there it is. If you want to reserve your yard signs are on the way, right? If you want to reserve your yard sign, head over to danielomiller.com/yard sign. Get it filled in, get your yard sign reserved. As soon as they hit the door, we're going to start distribution. And man, we've already had tons of people requesting yard signs. Man, we're gonna pepper this place from one end to the next. So yeah, danielomiller.com/yard sign to reserve your campaign yard sign. I'm glad I got that knocked out. And if you would be so kind, head over to dmcdonate.com. Or if you're on any of the other pages, hit the donate link. It all kind of goes to the same place. We could use your support. We are not being supported by big money PACs, big money donors. It is all up to us as individuals, and I sure would appreciate your support at dmcdonate.com. All right, let's get to some questions, right? You guys want some questions? Because there are plenty. Okay, Dan the Man on YouTube. Dan the Man wants to know, have you spoken with Prather about being a guest again on Coffee Talk? Yeah, we're actually lining up. And of course, remember, between now and primaries, we're running out of weeks, right? Because early voting is going to start and everything else. But right now, we are working on not Prather specifically, although we did talk about a repeat. But we're also going to be bringing on other candidates that are Texas First candidates. And, we'll be bringing them on one at a time, two at a time, three at a time. We'll do a round table, whatever it is. But I want you guys to meet some of the other folks that are out here fighting like we are, like Charles Turner up in Tyler, right? One of the first guys to jump off in this, or Deanna Robinson. So, I mean, there's a ton of them. I'm not going to go through them tonight. But we're going to get those guys on here, which actually brings me to another question, which is Bad Brad wants to know when we will see a list of pro-TEXIT candidates on the website. It's being done right now. I know the developers are working on the website. We're going to be launching a whole new site connected to the Take Texas Back campaign. And it's going to have candidates, profiles, links where you can access them, ways that you can get involved. Volunteering with the TNM to help block walk. I mean, there's going to be a ton of things over there, and it's this close. I mean, it's literally this close. But we're going to be launching a Texas First pledge that we're going to have candidates sign. So candidates that are not specifically part of the TTB slate will be able to join up on the slate by signing the Texas First pledge. So we're looking forward to launching that. It's close. It's almost there. And oddly enough, that reminds me, I forgot to mention something that happened starting today. Here's your hint. Boom. Billboards up for the campaign in 23 different cities. And it is going to be Katie bar the door. So yes, I know, right? So that's going to be fun. Okay, so look, I knew it was going to be inevitable, right? People are like, where did your facial hair go? Look, you are not any more freaked out about it than I am. Imagine the shock and horror when I went to go trim it and the selector on the guard was not where I remember leaving it, and half of this went away. I will tell you that this is literally only the second time since I started growing it when I was 18 years old, right? That's when the whole thing started. This is only the second time that I can recall since I've, went through the process of growing it out. It's the only second time I can recall that I have been without it. Right. So at least only the second time in the last 20 years, almost 17, 18, 19 years, something like that. So, yeah, I'm pretty mortified, but the upside is it will grow back. It's not all gone. It's kind of stubbly there, but, it'll come back, and then I'll be happy, and I'll stop looking weird because I feel weird. You cannot imagine what it's like to have this for years and years and years, and then it's gone. And maybe some of you had a beard and shaved it or whatever. But I mean, this is like almost 2 decades at least. So it's weird. I know you're freaked out, but no more than me. Here's the thing. The political establishment people that were telling me I needed to shave it off because a guy with facial hair couldn't win a race in Texas, probably pretty happy that it's gone, but it's coming back because I'm rebellious like that. Okay. Okay, Tanya on YouTube. Okay, this is lots. Well, this is 2 questions. It looks like, or 3, or 2. Okay, so Tanya says this. We wonder if you're looking at autonomy where you can, such as not accepting federal money for schools and roads, and for starting a state OSHA. Yeah. So this is. I'm guessing this is sort of a pre-Texit question in the run up to that, and one of the, as far as not accepting federal money for schools and roads, this has always been part and parcel of the challenge, right? Because if you go look at the Texas budget, one of the things you're going to find is that so much of the Texas budget is consumed with the grasp for federal dollars, right? And on one hand, it's understandable, right? Because we overpay anywhere from $103 to $160 billion annually. And it only makes sense to want to recoup some of that. But the challenge that we have with accepting federal money is it forces us in a lot of instances to spin up programs that we probably don't want, or at least spin them up in the most inefficient manner possible, because you have to follow federal guidelines. And God knows that the federal government is not known for its efficiency, right? And so, I've seen varying estimates about how much of our budget is consumed with the attempt to reclaim federal dollars. And so, the figures that I have seen have not been stable enough for me to quote them tonight to you with confidence, although I do talk about it a good bit in the book. And there is a T&M report. I think if you go to tnm.me/Fed money, the report's like 2015, 2016, but the numbers, it's based off of a long-term track record. So you've got a pretty good idea that the situation has not gotten any better at this point, probably gotten worse. But that'll give you an idea, right? That'll tell you give you some idea of what that overpayment is. But that being said, obviously, as we begin to extricate ourselves, or at least that process in the run up to a Texit vote, we need to be working on all the ways that we can be as autonomous as possible, right? We need to be going ahead and building a lot of that independent infrastructure. So one of the reasons that I talk on occasion about that provision, the Texas Gold Depository Act, about electronic transactions denominated by amounts that are in the gold deposit or the precious metals depository. There are things of that nature from a monetary and economic standpoint that we can definitely work on. But winding down some of these issues, some of these programs, the federal government loves to do that, right? I mean, one of the reasons the Department of Education has its hooks in our public school system is federal money. Right? You don't get the federal money if you don't do the things the federal government tells you to do. And so if you don't take that federal money, that's how this is the gun to our head, right? If you don't take that federal money, then you have to still make up for that somewhere in your budget. And although we're only getting matching funds for most of that, all of a sudden now you have to go from, okay, well, maybe paying 40 to 60% of it to paying 100% of it. So it produces it can essentially create a major budgetary issue. So we have to be really smart with how we handle some of these issues of spinning up various things we're going to need to deal with when we're an independent nation ahead of TEXIT, right? This side of a clear expression of political will on the people of Texas can make things problematic. Now, I will tell you that there was a bill, and I've talked about it on a previous Coffee Talk. It was circulating around, not just in Texas, but it was circulating around. I think the first place that I saw it back then was in Colorado. But what it essentially did was set up a federal escrow account. And I'm not saying that I'm advocating for this, right? Or that this is something I'll do. This is just a historical point, a concept for discussion, right? But there was a piece of legislation being circulated around. And I don't know that it got any traction anywhere, but essentially what it did was it set up at the state level an escrow account that people would pay federal taxes into, and then the comptroller would pay those out and pass them along to the federal government. So what that meant is that the state government then acted as a buffer between the people and the federal government. And at any time, if the state needed to, it basically shifted the balance of power, right? So instead of the feds holding the money and saying, okay, if you don't do what we tell you to do, we're not going to give you the money, it shifted the balance of power and allowed the state to go, okay, if you encroach on our sovereignty, we'll turn off the taps and we've got this money. So, just a different way to take a look at it. So that was question one. Question two, federal military pensions. You don't think they'll be honored. Will Texas be able and willing to honor these pensions or Social Security, Medicare, which is on a good track anyway? Yeah, look, we actually delineate both of those things. We talk about those in great detail at texitnow.org, right? And you can see some of it in here. You can see some expansion of it at texitnow.org, where we talk about the Social Security and Medicare issues. Specifically, and there are actually two separate articles that are complementary dealing with veterans benefits, right? And so the fact of the matter is that you don't have to live in the United States to collect federal pension benefits, right? That's all established by law and by policy. There are only a handful of countries that you cannot live in to receive those benefits, right? Like North Korea, Cuba, Belarus, Syria, and I think there's another one, but most of that deals with banking sanctions for nations that have engaged in terrorism and things of that nature, right? So, or whatever reason they've been sanctioned. Okay, so bottom line is that the law and current policy is very clear: is that if you are owed federal pension benefits and you live outside of the United States, you can still collect them, with very small limitations about where you are and how it's collected, or how you can collect it and things of that nature. But it's all detailed, right? That's not what we're saying. That's literally the policy that you can take directly from their publications and their websites. So the question becomes, what if they don't honor it? Well, here's what we know. We know that we're overpaying anywhere from $103 to $160 billion annually into the federal system at a minimum, right? And that's not including the issues with the debt. But the other thing is that we know that Social Security and like benefit payments into Texas equate to about $73 to $74 billion annually, varies year to year. But we also know that entire system is eaten alive by waste, fraud, and abuse, right? Because the federal government, that should be the federal motto, is waste, fraud, and abuse. So we do know that not only could Texas take over that system and not miss a beat, because remember, we wouldn't be paying money to the federal system anymore. Additionally, there are funds in the federal Medicare trust fund that belong to Texas taxpayers, right? We've paid into those benefits. So that money, or a portion of that money in the Medicare trust fund, belongs to Texas, which we may use as a bargaining chip to eliminate portions of our federal debt. So there's a lot of nuance in there. There's a lot of negotiation that has to take place. But the bottom line is if the federal government decided to, basically do away with their obligation, basically stick a middle finger in the air to veterans and old people, which is pretty much what they do every day anyway. If they decided to do that, Texas could take it over without a problem because Texas take care of our elderly and we take care of our veterans, and we do it far better than the federal government ever could or would. Bottom line. Okay, so let's go through here. Man, I'm running late. Okay, here's one. Chris wants the opinion on property tax, income tax abolition, and utilized consumption tax. Okay, so yeah, look, I talk about it on the website, danielomiller.com. If you go to the issues page and specifically look at the one about property tax, one of the things is clear. Okay, so number one, let's just get this out of the way. There will not be a state income tax in Texas ever. So don't let anybody fearmonger you to say, be fearmongers and say that, well, if you abolish the property tax, that means you're going to have a state income tax. That's not going to happen. We already had a constitutional prohibition on it, and last session they passed another one. Right now they considered that a victory because I guess 2 prohibitions is better than 1, right? But a state income tax is forbidden. And I'm going to tell you, that's the third rail in Texas politics. State income tax, constitutional convention, splitting up into 5 states. Those are all third rails. Any politician that touches them guarantees political suicide, right? Their political career's over. So state income tax is not in the cards for Texas. So let's everyone take that out of our vocabulary, and let's talk about what abolishing the property tax in Texas looks like, right? What does that look like? Well, there are a couple different ways to do it. There have been multiple plans on the table since at least I know of the 83rd regular session, right? So we're that would be 4 sessions back. So we know that over the years, there have been plans on the table, legislation on the table that would eventually end in the complete abolition of the property tax. And what we know is that the leadership in Austin and some of these reprehensibles that have been sent up there to Austin have failed to do it. Right now, this is all the while people are getting kicked out of their homes. Right, they're being taxed out of their home, and I don't care if it's property values. I wouldn't care, if we didn't have a property tax, it wouldn't matter if the value of your home shot up 1,000,000%, right? Wouldn't matter. If the value of your home shot up 1,000,000%, if we didn't have a property tax, no one would care. It wouldn't matter. It would be, as Claver says, we'd be as rich as Kuwaitis, right? So take that argument off the table that, it's just about the values, and if we can get that set. Look, we live in a free market economy. At least we want to. Do you really want the government to come in and set caps on the value of your home? Well, you say, well, what about the taxable value? Well, how about the taxable value not matter because we don't have a property tax, right? So they say, well, okay, great. How are you going to make that up? That revenue's got to come from somewhere, right? That's what they say. Well, these plans that have been on the table for years and years and years do just that. And they take a couple of different approaches. One establishes a limited VAT tax. The plan that is currently floated by the Texas Public Policy Foundation proposes 3 separate things, right? Number 1 is an expansion of the sales tax base, not an increase on the things you've already got, but an increase on the number of things that are taxable. And they are not normal consumer goods. We're not talking about putting a sales tax on food, right? Or things of that nature. But there are some services and things that people pay for right now that do not have a sales tax on it. So you expand the sales tax base so that everything is kind of treated equally, with the exception of those core goods that people need, right? The necessities. So you expand that base. Well, guess what? You're reclaiming some of that revenue. So then what's the next step? Well, number 2 is you got to curtail government spending. Look, just because we say that the motto for Washington, D.C. ought to be waste, fraud, and abuse doesn't mean that we don't have that sort of thing going on right here in Texas, right? We've got inefficiencies here that can be addressed. And it's one of the reasons on the issues page I say, look, let's go back through the last 20 years of Sunset Commission recommendations and look at where we can cut in the budget. Where can we consolidate industries? Where can we make things more efficient? And let's do those things. The government should not be spending any money, any of our money, that is unnecessary. And there's a good bit of that. And I'm not saying that it's as bad as the federal government, but I'm saying that it happens. And if we're going to look at those recommendations, let's go back for the last 10, 15, 20 years from the Sunset Commission, see what's applicable and see what we can do and restructure there. So curtailing government spending is number 2. And then number 3 is dealing specifically with the maintenance and operations portion of the tax, right? Now, I'm as you can tell, I'm running out of time and I'm getting notifications about it. So you'll bear with me. But look, here's what I got for you. What I'm going to tell you is I'm going to just direct you over to the issues page. And I wish I could pull this thing up on the screen right now for you. But if you go to the section on abolishing the property tax, you're going to go down and you're going to see specifically links to both HB 3742, which was from the 83rd regular session dealing with this sort of thing. And then you're going to see a link to the current plan from the Texas Public Policy Foundation, which they detail it with tables and charts, and they explain it in depth. And in addition, so basically whatever we have to do within those confines that ultimately ends in the abolition of property tax, so we can stop kicking people out of their homes and taxing people out of their homes, then that's exactly what we got to do, right? Whatever that looks like. And what I'm telling you is that there have been multiple plans on the table over the years that would have effectively lowered the tax burden for every Texan and would have, in effect, put more money, more revenue in the coffers than what the property tax is doing. But those things have gone ignored by the Austin establishment and the leadership, because there are people up there in Austin that benefit from you being taxed into oblivion, right? I mean, think about it. No property tax. What does that mean? No more appraisal boards, right? No more appraisal district. Well, wow. Okay. There's some cost savings, right? All of a sudden, that's government money, doesn't have to be spent. So all of that goes away. All that administrative cost goes away. It's gone because we don't have it. Well, guess what else is gone? The people that are in business solely to help you protest your property tax valuations, like a particular state senator, maybe. Just saying. Maybe the resistance to abolishing the property tax in the Senate and the Texas legislature is not really about fear that we're not going to be able to cover the revenue, but perhaps it's about who is making money off of keeping the property tax on the backs of Texans. Sometimes all you got to do is follow the money, people. So anyway, that's it. And a consumption tax. So if you take an income tax off the table because it is immoral, and you take the immoral property tax off the table, then what does that leave? That leaves a consumption tax. And that is the fairest tax that you can get, because that is the most transparent tax you can possibly have. It is a tax that affects everyone, and it is essentially a voluntary tax, right? If you don't want to pay it, you don't buy things. But it prevents the government from hiking taxes on one class of people that are then passed down to the individuals and effectively hidden. So that means that everyone shoulders their share of the burden. And it also means that when governments get out of whack and they want to start raising taxes and doing all that kind of crazy nonsense, everybody knows about it and everybody responds to it. It has been proven time and time again that the consumption tax is the absolute fairest tax, and it is the one that provides the most accountability and transparency between the citizens and their government. Point blank. So yeah, Chris, that's where I'm at. Okay, guys, we're wrapping up, and I did not get to all the questions, and I am very sorry for that. But you know, I'm out of time. Try to keep it down. I try to be respectful of your time. And tonight is one of those. So, look, if I did not get to your question, drop it to us via email. Like, don't let us forget it, right? We'll try to tackle it and address it, and that happens, right? We have people that submit their questions, their comments. We review them, and if we can get them dovetailed into something else we're doing, the next week, we definitely do that as well. So, going to be awesome. So let me start my wrap ups. Let's go down here. By the way, if you are posting about us on social media, please like, share, comment. Please tweet. Please post on any social media outlet that you're on, and please use the hashtag DMC 2022. That's DMC as in Daniel Miller Campaign 2022. That is the official campaign hashtag, and I'm going to tell you what, it's been pretty nice to see the fact that that hashtag's been used well over 1,000 times here recently. So you guys keep it up. But look, it's going to take you guys. If we're going to win this thing, we're going to get out there and we're going to make a difference. We're going to restore the people of Texas back to their rightful place in the Capitol, and we're going to put the people back in charge, and we're going to get that vote on TEXIT. Then we're going to need your help. We're going to need you to spread the word. Yeah, we're getting media coverage, but I don't just want media coverage. I want you guys. I want all of us. I want this to be our victory together, all of us, me, you, everyone here. And we do that by being engaged, enthusiastic, and sharing. And it's going to take an army of activists to get this thing done. So when you're out there sharing on social media, DMC 2022 is the hashtag. Be sure to use it. And of course, again, Claver would kill me if I did not mention this, but dmcdonate.com. If you can drop a few bucks in. I mean, I feel terrible asking about this right around Christmas. I mean, I just do, but I would get in trouble if I didn't. So, we got a campaign to run, folks. We got to go win. So dmcdonate.com, drop a couple of bucks, 2, 3, 5, 10, whatever you can spare. Everything is used. Nothing goes to waste. We are in it to win it, and we're in for the fight of our lives. So any help you can give. And I'll hit this link again because it was asked about specifically. If you want to reserve your yard sign, head to danielomiller.com/yard sign and go ahead and reserve yours, because as soon as they hit, we're going to get distribution out, and we're going to try to get you your yard sign ASAP. We will not be mailing them for obvious reasons. But we are distributing throughout the state through our volunteer coordinators, and they will be connecting up, and we'll make it all known where you can go get the signs or connect with us while we're on the road. Look, head over to danielomiller.com/events. If you can catch us on the road, we will always have campaign signs and would love to hook you up there. Okay, folks, that is going to wrap it up for me. Before I wrap up, I want to just send out a very heartfelt Merry Christmas to all the people in the TNM. We are beyond grateful for your love of Texas, your support for the work of the TNM. And I have said it time and time again, the TNM to me, you folks out there, you are family. This is a bond. We share a bond that is far deeper than just, we're all part of some club together, right? We're part of a movement. And that movement means something. That means we're together. We move together. We work together. We laugh together. We cry together. We celebrate together. We mourn together. And in the end, we make independence happen together. And so for that, I am just grateful that you are a part of our extended family. You are very special to us. And the work that you do, the support that you show, the sacrifices that you make are going to guarantee that the next 100 years of history here in Texas, when 100 years from now, when they're right about what happened here in Texas, your efforts are going to matter. You are building a legacy for future generations and a foundation of liberty and independence that we can propel Texas to greatness on top of. And so for that, I am thanking you for investing that time, investing your heart, your soul, your spirit, and infusing your own fingerprint in the work that we do. So you can definitely buy anything but time. And the fact that you have chosen to spend your time with us, not just tonight, but in the work that we do, means so much to us. So, salute. Here's to you. This is not my final coffee talk of the year of 2021. So that'll be next week. So until then, I will wish you a very Merry Christmas. And of course, next Wednesday, we'll just do an annual recap. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the year ahead. I intend to have some special guests on here, and we're gonna have a roundtable, and maybe we'll start early, maybe whatever. Here's the cool thing about it. This is not a show. We can kind of do whatever we want to do. How much fun is this, right? All right. That being said, with Christmas wishes extended and with as much love as I can possibly extend to you, I will leave you with the words for the next to the last time in 2021 that I'll leave you with every Wednesday night. And they are the words of Sam Houston. It was his quote when he said that Texas will again lift its head and stand among the nations. I believe that time is now, and the question is, will you stand with her? Merry Christmas and good night.